you kind of feel like you're you were running towards nothing because that path brought where you are, which is good. But at the end of the day, it's just leaving you just unsatisfied on a daily basis, and it kind of sucked. I realized that on my job because all the time I was, reaching for more, and when I eventually did, I gotta say, reach what I was dreaming of when I was like 18. Uh, then it was like, then what? This kind of struggle just stay with you and keeps you getting better. And I'm feeling like it's like that with the band too.
Greetings, friends, and welcome to episode 177 of Into the Necrosphere. This week, I am catching up with Fabio Carretti of the band Hierophant out of Italy. He and I covered the gamut of everything from powerlifting to black metal to food and rugby. Really, really fun, very in-depth conversation. And one I know that you guys are all going to love because I know my audience. Another thing I know about my audience is that you enjoy yourselves some black metal of an Australian persuasion, and so therefore I am very proud to be the platform or provide the stage for the world premiere of the new single by Aussie cult merchants Sick. This is off the upcoming album Belial, due out in August. The song is called Part 3, The Arrival. Part 3, the arrival of the upcoming album Belial, the band, of course, Sick, out of Australia, featuring Matt Prizzo, also host of the Slave to the Underground podcast and the founding member of another fantastic black metal band out of Australia, Spells of Torment. Matt was on the podcast at the back end of last year. He will almost definitely be a guest at some point again in the not too distant future, but a huge thanks and a shout out to him for bestowing upon us the honor of playing that song to the public at large for the first time ever. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'm going to post the link to Six Bandcamp in the description to the podcast, so check out their music. And if you show Six some love and support, do let Matt and the gang know that it was old Jackson at Into the Necrosphere that sent you. My friends, if you are new to the podcast, hope you guys enjoy the next 2.5 hours with me. And if the spirit moves you to do so, make sure that you elbow drop the subscribe button on your platform of choice. The show is on Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, etc. And one thing that I would really appreciate is if you guys could keep bumping up those reviews. Help me hack that big tech algorithm with 5-star reviews, especially on Spotify and Apple. And thank you very much to everybody who's already done so. That number keeps climbing every week, and I really, really appreciate the help, and I really appreciate the support. Also, make sure that if you haven't done so yet, you check out the Into the Necrosphere Teespring store. I've got Into the Necrosphere hoodies, t-shirts, etc. in there. So you can show your love and support to the podcast while being fashion forward, strutting your mean streets, styling and profiling. Of course, almost most importantly, I am part of a shadowy organization of well-spoken men who share my interest in the macabre, in horror, in metal, and in most things, really. I speak, of course, of the horsemen of the podcasting apocalypse, and every Monday, the first horseman of the podcasting apocalypse gallops into view. Brandon Legion brings you Horrible 666, his weekly podcast, where he speaks to writers, directors, and various folks that are active in the horror genre. Yours truly casts hexes and slays posers every Tuesday. And on a Wednesday, Mike Hill of Tombs and Scorpion Throne, Sensei Mike Hill, as I have come to refer to him as, comes at you with the longest running podcast in our cohort, Everything Went Black. He returns on a Thursday with one of my favorite podcasts of the week, Necromaniacs, alongside his co-hosts Mike Scandato and Jeff Kashid. And then every Sunday, the Reverend Carl Hikara brings you a deep dive into the weird, the arcane, and the esoteric with Soul Knocks. So join us in the war against shit content. Follow all of those podcasts, both on the socials and on your platform of choice. And then, of course, foisted on an enemy, share it with friends, get the word out. Once I am done with my conversation with Fabio, don't go anywhere, because there is a new Cattle Decapitation album out. The cover sucks. Does the music suck? You're going to find out straight after my conversation with Fabio. And then, of course, I will also be doing another full-throated installment of my weekly news rant. This week, we've got a couple of songs to listen to. But we also need to talk about a pimple on the anus of the South African nation named Duncan Bentley. You guys will find out all about that later on. And then one final reminder, for those of you living in the UK, on July the 29th and July the 30th in Derby, the annual, I believe now annual, Reaper Fest will be hosted, featuring Heathen Deity. Runes of Everast will be playing a set. Ultha will be playing a set. And yours truly will be there too. So if you're there, come up, say hello. It would be great to meet a couple of you guys. And I am very much looking forward to seeing some of those bands I just mentioned now and getting out to a show for the first time in ages. I am invited to many, but because I'm antisocial and I hate public transport, I rarely take up the invitation. Folks, on that note, I'm going to sit back. Hope you guys enjoy the next 2.5 hours. As I said, this is Fabio Carretti of Hierophant. Yeah, so just before I started recording, we were talking about the lockdowns in Italy, and I have people that work for me that are based in Italy, not for the podcast, but in my day job. So I got a first-hand glimpse of what lockdown life was like for you guys over there, and that was rough. I mean,
Yeah, it
I
was
like
brutal.
what I was kind of getting as well is that people were really getting to the end of their rope at you know, at a certain point, like you know, almost to, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I would imagine the authorities started to get at least a degree of concern about how the people would react if they kind of pushed it too far.
It was strange. I mean, if I think about the whole thing now, it's like, you know, when you think about a nightmare you had, and it feels like it was something too far, already forgotten, and it's a thing of the past, and it's kind of feeling the same, I gotta say.
Mm.
Things were insane. I mean, in it it was 100% a huge trauma for all of us, I gotta say. At first, you know, you kind of accept it because you don't know where things were going.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, it was uh, a Resident Evil kind of like scenario where
Yeah, it was. A couple of people watched that movie Contagion, and I think all of them were like
yeah,
really spooked by that. It's like, oh fuck,
yeah,
this is coming to life.
yeah. And then eventually, luckily, I gotta say, uh, it was clear that that was not the case.
Yeah.
But you know, authorities were. I don't know. I don't know if it was wrong or correct. I don't know. I mean, by no means I would put my word on that. What I can say, it was really hard for us. I mean, I want to talk about Hierophant, the band. We don't live in the same city. We live like 40, 30 minutes by car each other. I mean, it's not like that far, but we couldn't see each other for 6 months straight, something like that. And then we could see each other during the summer, and then we couldn't see us for another 8 months straight. So you know, we were actually writing that siege. What would have become that siege? So
Mm.
it was not the right thing to happen. You know, when you are writing a record, because I mean, we're not the kind of band that, you know, write Guitar Pro tabs.
Yeah.
And I mean, by no means we are that kind of people. Not that it's wrong, but we are way more rough, if I will. So we were used to, you know, just hang around during the practice session. Someone has an idea, and we jam each other, and something happened. Hours and hours, and things happen. And that was not the case because it just was not possible. We were feeling that we must release something because our previous record was released in 2016, so it was quite a bit. And 2020 should be the year. We were thinking this is the year. We actually did turn down a super big ass tour earlier that year, thinking like, no, we're not playing anymore. Now we have to record a new album. Then, you know, things will come. We'll do festivals tour. But no, nothing of that happened because, you know, everything went to shit. And also, we kind of had the record ready for 2021, but it was not just wise to release it because, you know, for a band like us, if we can play shows, it's just useless. I mean, we'll be just throwing the record in the toilet.
Yeah. Because you get to the ears of, you know, a couple of hundred people that are following you on, you know, on you know, or that'll respond to you on social media. Because I mean, there's a difference between followers and engagement, and you know, the people that are going to actually go and pick up the record just because they're following, you know, new releases that are coming out. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. But we'll talk about Death Siege and about Hierophant in a second. One thing, as an observation of the Italian lockdown. And I think firstly it might be worth you just describing to anybody that you know isn't from Italy and obviously, you know, didn't see firsthand what was going on, exactly how stringent the the lockdown was. Like, how, how was it enforced? How was it day to day, and how long did it last for?
At first, like all the bad things in life, it approaches you piece by piece. It was not the whole thing at first, because I guess that nobody would have accepted that. It was like just one more month and one more month, and eventually that become like 6 months straight or something. And it was pretty bad because we couldn't get out our own homes besides grocery shopping, and you could get in trouble with the law if you get caught outside that. Like, you can get in jail for like 1 year or something. So it was, I mean, I don't know if anybody ended up like that, but
so the penalty was up to a year in jail for breaking lockdown.
As far as I know, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was strange. I never did that, so I wouldn't know what were you facing if you get caught, but still. And when we got to the summer of 2020, things were, kind of smooth. And then when winter started to, come back to the day one. So, and if I remember correctly, because, I'm kind of traumatized by the whole thing. So I remember things maybe not in the right timeline. I just might, jump from here and there, but we couldn't even get out our own municipality. Like, not the whole city, like the I wouldn't say your neighborhood, but something like that.
Yeah.
And for certain times we also had a time curfew, like 10 p.m. You can just get out your home from 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And that lasted for like 6 months straight, and that was bad. And I don't know how people reacted to that. Thing is that I'm talking about me personally. I've always been doing remote working. I work with the United States since 2018, and I work remotely since 2015. So for me personally, it just changed nothing. It changed in a way that I just didn't have a life anymore. So for me, it was like tunnel vision. I just focused on writing the new record and working out. Actually, I took advantage of, because whenever super bad things happen in your life, you can change the thing itself. You just can, change the way you react to that. And my way was starting to work out, like balls to the walls, pedal to the metal. Like, I was working out like 4 or 5 times a week, 2 hours and a half for a workout. And I actually was super nice for me, because I kind of changed my life, I would say. I was a bit overweight before, and I kind of, drink too much and eat bad. And I took advantage of that period to, educate myself on working out and on eating well, blah, blah. And 2 years later, I gotta say, my life has improved significantly.
I was about to say, when you went to go pour your drink earlier, I could see, in the most platonic way possible, you're pretty ripped. And I know that just from the looking at you on social media, I know that you do powerlifting as well. So did you actually start your training during lockdown, or was it something that you had already been doing previously?
Yeah, no, actually, I was like fucking around with the weights since forever. Because when I was like in middle school, I was a rugby player, and I'm still a rugby nut today. I kind of binge watch all the possible matches everywhere. But yeah, that's another topic.
I say that's dangerous to bring that up on this podcast, mate, because I'll talk about rugby for the next fucking 5 hours.
Really?
And I we'll lose about probably 99% of the audience,
Okay.
and I'll be happy. So, yeah, dude, I'm from South Africa. You know, rugby's in the blood.
Really?
Yeah,
you're a Bok. I didn't know that.
A very diehard Springbok fan as well. And I'll tell you something funny about that. So, it's relevant because of a couple of things that have actually happened in the mixed martial arts world recently. But when I lived in South Africa, I never appreciated sport and the role that sport plays in the country's culture at all. I thought it was stupid, and I hated it. And frankly, when I think back about that, I left South Africa when I was 21 years old. A lot of that was down to being rebel without a clue. So then you go out and you see the world, and you start to appreciate and you start to appreciate. You miss the good things about home, and then eventually you start to cherish some of your probably, at least for me, I had a bit of, I think, a cultural awakening, or I would say maybe a patriotic awakening, to being South African and what that meant and stuff like that. And I think the thing that a lot of people need to understand about South Africa that many don't get is that South Africa inherently is actually an extremely patriotic country. It cuts across all races. I mean, it's in it, and it's drilled into you from a very young age, right? I rejected it at first, and then I came to appreciate it later on. But you're very patriotic. But where that patriotism is kind of given life is in sports, and especially in rugby. Nelson Mandela knew that, which is why in 1995 he got so firmly behind the box, and you have those images of him with Francois Pienaar, handing over the Webb Ellis Trophy and stuff like that. He knew how important it was, and it's been like that ever since. Which is also why when you see the Springboks play, and you see grown men in the stands, singing the national anthem with tears streaming down their cheeks, that's not because they're drunk, or because they're being pathetic.
Mostly.
That's the national anthem is a meditation for us on where the country has come from, where the country is today, and what we hope it could be in the future. So, and I say it's relevant to what's going on in the MMA world. There's an MMA fighter named Dricus du Plessis, who I wasn't even the biggest fan of previously, but he made the comment and said he wants to be the first real African UFC champion. And immediately, the fucking lunatics have come out of the woodwork saying, he's trying to erase champions like Francis Ngannou and Israel Adesanya, and guys who, have African heritage, but they no longer live there. And what they don't understand is that what he meant was a patriotic expression of wanting to bring the belt to South Africa. That is absolutely what he meant. A litmus test for any white supremacist from South Africa, he would never in a million years stand in the middle of a UFC cage with a new South African flag, like the post-apartheid South African flag draped over him. Never. And I grew up with these people. I know what they're like. So anyway, yeah, sorry, that's a random detour, but it's been on my mind recently, and so when you brought up the rugby, I thought I would mention it. But yeah, it does. Rugby is a very very big thing for me, and you understand, like, I never understood it. I had to leave the country to properly understand its importance in South African culture, and frankly, its importance to me.
Yeah, man, it's so good. Do you see Beth beating the shit out of Saracens last weekend?
I did, yeah. No, I did. I've been following the URC because sadly in the Champions Cup we got absolutely fucking trounced. So all of our teams dropped out. So we kind of have a chance. We're in this. The Stormers are in the semifinals against Leinster, I think. No, Connacht. So we'll see what happens.
They were at the Aviva Stadium in Ireland last week, and they lose against Leicester. No, sorry, there was a Sharks. Sorry, sorry, it was a Sharks.
But mate, this is big year, World Cup year. I said
we don't have any chances whatsoever. Any.
You guys play the thing you can always give Italy though is one, it's going to be a physical bruising encounter, and two, it's always going to be entertaining. I see the trajectory for Italy in the same place as Argentina. Like I think it's just a matter of time and investment.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that thing's
Pumas
gonna
are
come good.
so badass now.
Yeah.
These, do you see the Curry Cup last year? I mean, they
Yeah.
kind of dominated that. I mean, they were so good.
No, they're awesome. And I mean, there was a time when if you played against Argentina, it was a given you were going to beat them. You know, and almost the same with Italy. And then Italy started, throwing a couple of upsets here and there. And like I said, it's gonna come. That's the exciting thing about rugby right now is so many teams have
Leveling up.
their game.
Yeah.
It's no longer just the South Africa, New Zealand, Australia show. There's now
I gotta say,
teams that are.
We beat Australia a couple of months ago.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Like
which is excellent.
Yeah, for 1 point, but we did it. I mean, I just couldn't believe it when it was happening, but yeah, it was.
Dude,
those
are the best wins. I remember South Africa in 2009 winning the British and Irish Lions test, and it was in the second test when Mornay Steyn slotted that penalty and won the game. I was fucking speechless. I was happy on a level I can't describe to anyone, mostly because I made a bet with a guy who worked for me that he had to stand up on the Monday morning in the office in front of 600 people and belt out the South African national anthem. I would have had to sing "God Save the Queen" if the Lions beat us, but in fairness,
but you did win.
He did. He took his medicine. He took his beating like a gentleman. He just stood up like 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. Said, "Everybody, I made a bet and I lost. So it's the consequences.
You got to suck on this,
of my poor decisions." What position do you play?
Actually, I am under 70 centimeters, and I weigh around 75-80 kilograms. So I'm scrum off.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm like, built for that role. And I gotta say, it's the only role I can cover with this type of physique because all other, I'm too small for everything else.
Yeah, dude. I don't think most people realize how big rugby guys.
No, they're fucking big.
I remember this was maybe 2010, 2011. We went to go see the Sharks play the Crusaders at Twickenham Stadium. It was like a one-off Super Rugby game here in the UK. Okay. And I remember Beast and Bismarck Duplessis walked past me, and it was I literally was like, Jesus Christ! They are about as wide as a fucking car.
Yeah, they're G-Wagons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's absolutely nuts. It's that's what happens when you grow up on a diet entirely of beef products.
Yeah, just bison.
Pretty much, yeah. So okay, let's park the rugby talk for a second. So the powerlifting and stuff like that. You got into that then during COVID, because I have to tell you, during COVID, my training really took a knock. Like I was doing reasonably good numbers. I'd hit 180 kilograms on squats. I'd done a 225 deadlift. I had I'd actually done a 265 deadlift using the trap bar, and I'd done about a 160 bench. And COVID just fucked it up. Even when I had weights at my flat in London, I just couldn't motivate myself to train. I realized, as much as I dislike the music in the gym, and most of the people are losers, I still need that around me to get me to actually focus.
I work around that just by building an home gym in my garage.
Yeah.
This way I didn't have to, see anybody or listen to crap music or actually talk to people, because I'm not really fond of that. So yeah, I just took that road. And, I immediately fell for that. And I got to say, when I started it, I was pretty, okay-ish. First time I did, the first time I seriously worked with a coach, because I hired a coach to, figure out what's going on. And of course, my form was not okay. Was okay-ish. The first time I did a squat was like 150 kilograms.
Jesus.
Max out, and the bench was around 100 kilograms, and and the deadlift was like 170, 180, something like that. I mean, bad form. I'm sure it was not, IPF approved in a meet. It wouldn't be, free white lights by no means, but still. I mean,
those are very solid numbers, though.
I'm not a big person, so and nowadays I'm not maxing out in few weeks, but I'm around 175 on squat, 120 on bench, and 220 on deadlift. And I deadlift.
So your deadlift is your strongest, especially if you weigh around 80 kilos. That's serious.
Now I'm 75.
75.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's very serious weight, mate.
But yeah, I mean, it's still rookie numbers. I mean, if someone is not lifting, and those could look like big numbers, but they're not. I mean, they're super mediocre numbers if you compare to people competing in a serious way. I mean, people at my weight, I don't know, deadlift 300 kilograms.
Yeah. Well, so would you ever want to compete?
Actually, I did compete it. In 2021, I did a deadlift meet and a bench meet. But I was working out in less than a year. It was just to test myself.
Yeah, see what you can do.
Prove myself that I can fit in the weight category. I competed in 74 kilograms. And when I started, I was 86, 87. So I lost like shitload of weight, so I took advantage of that to be better, because I didn't want to be in goblin mode during the lockdown, to gain weight, just drink and eat less shit. And I did that for a while, and I was just like, it's too much, because when you cross your 30s, it's not like you're getting any younger. So
I'm 43 years old now, and it really is the battle of, if I have a day in a week where I'm fucking around, I will absolutely see it on the scales. No two ways about it. I can eat super clean for the rest of the week. If there's a day that I mess around, I have some sweets, or I have ice cream, whatever the case may be, I will absolutely, it'll absolutely catch up to me. Yeah, no doubt about that. But I mean, like the we're talking about like country culture, right? And obviously Italy is very well known for its dining culture, its food culture. How did you like what changes did you make to your diet, and like what does your diet roughly look like now?
Basically, I just stopped eating whatever I was eating before and whatever people are just eating here, because it's super good, it's super tasty and delicious, but it is with food. If it's good, it's not good for you. And
steak is good, and that's great for you.
What?
Steak is good. That's great for you.
Yeah, but it's it's kind of expensive to get some quality one.
Yeah,
on a daily basis, I must just sound like a broken record if you ever talk with anybody who's on a constant diet. White rice, chicken, vegetables. Sometimes you can get a refeed day with some burger and fries, like once in 2 weeks, just to shake your metabolism. But it's not it's not a pleasant thing to do. Like many things that makes you better are not pleasant on a daily basis, but still you gotta put the effort on that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that nobody likes to brush your teeth. It's not enjoyable, but try not doing that for 2 months, and we'll see what happens. And I think that it's kind of the same. It's not that you have to. If you ask me if I enjoy training, I don't enjoy training. I love training, I gotta say, but I don't enjoy doing that on a regular basis. If you take, I don't know, 6 workouts, I might I might say that I'm in the mood of really kicking ass on today's workout, not just once. Say that maybe 2 times out of 6, I'm super, pumped, but on a regular basis, you're just not. You just do it because you have to do it, because otherwise you just fall apart, and this is not acceptable.
I find if I've not trained if I go like 2-3 days without training, the third day I start getting unbelievably agitated. Like agitated, and I never really thought that it was that, but I've started to realize it might actually be anxiety as well that I start getting about like on day 3. You start feeling like you feel like you've drunk about 20 cups of coffee when you haven't drunk any coffee. That kind of feeling like something's chasing you.
Yeah,
And that was something again that I struggled with during lockdown, because I had that all the time. I do press ups at home, and I tried all sorts of different
yeah,
stuff. I tried yoga, I tried all sorts of shit, but it's not the same. It's
no,
not the same as going, lifting weights for an hour or an hour and a half, and kind of getting that feeling that you have when you're done. Like you kind of feel like your muscles are sort of pulled back into position.
yeah,
You can feel like whatever part of your body you were working out, you can
yeah.
tell it's been beaten
You,
up
you,
in the
you're
best
good
possible
to
way.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So, some people, I don't know, do meditation. Some people, I don't know, listen to relaxing things. Some people goes to therapy. I don't know. I mean, as long as it worked for you, fine. For me, the most relaxing things that I ever experienced in my life is just, blasting metal while while lifting heavy weights, screaming. I don't know. It's just my thing, and I think that it's many people thinks when you. I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with that. When you look Ronnie Coleman's training videos, uh, when he's just screaming like crazy in the gym. I mean, this is kind of my meditation, and
Yeah.
it might sound strange, but I guess that anybody has its own way to find peace.
I think I have learned over the years, to each their own. But I do sometimes wonder, how do you find any kind of relaxation through some of the bullshit people does? Like to relax. I find meditation to be unbelievably boring. I've never once really attempted it, but
Yeah,
I mean, just to stare into nothingness and or repeat some sort of mantra that's not for me.
no,
Um, I tell you what I do find relaxing. This is an admission that I've never made on the podcast before. One thing I find lowers my stress level: singing in the car. So if I'm by myself, and I'm because I travel to go pick my daughter up every second weekend, so that's about it's a 90-mile journey there, 90-mile journey back, so
ooh,
it's lengthy. The 90-mile
yeah,
journey that I'm on my way by myself, then I'll have Mark Lanigan or Queens of the Stone Age or something, and I'll sing
hmm
along to that very poorly, but it helps de-stress me a bit. But
yeah.
beyond that, there's nothing like weights, and ideally, actually, I mean, what was the best thing was Thai boxing, but I didn't really have the
Oh,
time to be able to do that anymore.
I never actually fall for combat sports in general, but I'm really fascinated. I mean,
If you've played rugby, mate, then MMA would be a perfect fit for you. I mean, you've seen guys like, I think it's John Hooker or something from New Zealand. He was it John Hooker? I can't remember. There's a guy he was originally from New Zealand. Actually, no, he was originally from England, who started doing MMA, and it's I think the athleticism, that really kind of explosive energy that you need for rugby. I think it lends itself really well to mixed martial arts, and particularly to the ground and the wrestling aspect of mixed martial arts. Doing like the
the
double leg
jiu-jitsu.
takedown and stuff like that. 100%.
Yeah. But I'm feeling like, whenever it comes to striking or combat sports in general, you can I mean, I have a so huge respect for the craft. that I wouldn't just improvise myself doing that, because I'm 100%, I'm sure I will get beaten up and shit faced by someone, because I think like it's like boxing. It's something that you gotta grow with that. You must start when you are super small, and you gotta kind of learn within the years. It's not something that you can just improvise overnight. Just, I mean, for instance, like powerlifting, it's something that it's way more accessible.
Yeah.
Because of course, to master the lift, it's gonna take years. But I gotta say, in a couple months, you can reach a decent level of knowing how to do things without getting hurt, which is just not a thing with other things. Because if you take another weightlifting sport, Olympic weightlifting, there's no fucking way you can perform a snatch or a clean and jerk in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no way. I tried once, I almost killed myself, and I was like, okay. Then,
yeah, I tried the snatch once, and it was fucking terrible. I don't actually, like, for me, I think I'm just too old to do that exercise in a way that's healthy.
It's so, I mean, you gotta be too flexible. Not too flexible. You gotta be super flexible, which usually you're not. So I think that you gotta condition yourself so bad, and it's just out of my strings now. Actually, a good friend of mine, which is about my age, started 6 months ago or something, and it's so funny because he is super strong. I mean, he's way stronger than me, and a big guy. It's like 185 centimeters, and it's weighing 115 kilograms. I mean, 10 kilograms. I mean, it's a big guy. And now, after 6 months, it's like snatching for 40 kilograms, 50 kilograms. And it's struggling with that. I mean, if you think about that, it's super lightweight. But the thing is that it's not just a strength sport. The technique behind
I was just about to say, it's a technique sport as well.
Yeah, the technique, it's unbelievable. It's so unreal. And I just don't have the effort for that, because at the end of the day, you gotta see what's on your table. I mean, I got my job, I got the workout, I got the Hierophant, and the day is over, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat, right? So I was grinning when you were talking about remote working, because it's been the same for me. I've been a remote worker since 2019. So for me, the lockdown didn't change anything. It actually just made me busier. I got to a point where I knew all these people that were sitting at home on fucking benefits, dicking around all day, and I was like, I've never been busier in my entire life. This isn't fair. And I had to take a temporary lean on my salary as well, which also wasn't fun. But it's I mean, I don't think I would like to go back to office work. I feel like the hour travel to work and the hour back it's a waste of time.
No way.
But you have to be, in order to have my job and run the podcast properly and do training and maintain a healthy relationship with my fiance. Everything in my life has to work like fucking military clockwork. And I apologize to many people in advance. It's like, when I talk to you, I'm very likely doing something else as well. If I don't multitask, I don't get everything done that I need to do.
Yeah, it's clockwork. Otherwise, you just don't have things done, and it's awful. I mean, I think that most of the people that went remote during COVID just struggled a lot. Because at the end of the day, you gotta be like way more disciplined than just a regular day at the office. Because when you are at the office, it's not like you can just fuck around the office bare naked, watching whatever on TV, eating shit on the sofa and stuff like that. I mean, there are other people, so you are trying to being a decent human being, even if you're not. But when you're at home by yourself, not the thing. So I'm feeling like most of the people just struggle on that. But luckily, I was doing that since like 2015. So for me, it was a no-brainer by no means. One of the most could sound funny, but one of the most useful things I started doing way back in 2015 when I was working from home, it was dressing like I had to go outside, even if I was working at home. Because in a way it puts you in an uncomfortable space, so you kind of have to focus on what you're doing. Because I'm feeling like if you just just hang on the sofa and with no pants, with no shirt, and you can't have anything done. I mean, it's so hard to concentrate and to stay on a schedule. So as stupid as it might sound, I found that just dressing like with the shoes too, like from head to feet, like I had to go outside, and this helped me way much in the first time. But after a while, I mean, if you are a disciplined person, it's a no-brainer. I am 100% a disciplined person. So, I mean, when you have to do something, you just put your effort on that and get things done. But I'm feeling like most of the
I think people that train, generally speaking, have to have a disciplined mindset. If you're serious about training and you don't look like a piece of chewed up bubblegum, then you, generally speaking, you have a mindset for discipline anyway. I think actually, I've not all that many musicians, but certainly some musicians I've met also have like a very rigorous sort of discipline with the way they do stuff. I mean, Cheyenne, who we both know, he's one of the most disciplined human beings that I know. But you make a great point around dressing for the day. The other thing that I actually started doing during lockdown is I made sure I made my bed. And it was something that I'd read about, that where the military were talking about the importance.
Yeah, I was saying it's a military background.
Yeah. They were talking about the military, but there's a guy like in the U.S. Marines who was talking about why they make their beds, and he's like, well, the reason you do that is because it gets you ready for the day. You have closed the chapter on your time in the sack. And he says the worst thing that happens to you is at the end of the day, if you've had a shit day, you get to get into a freshly made bed. Everyone likes that. So, and that it's such a small thing, but psychologically, the impact that it has on you and the impact that it has on your mindset as you go about your day is massive.
I gotta say, I suck at that. I never do my bed. Yeah, never. Never. But apart from that, I'm super disciplined. I mean, if you actually, I've been running my own business for a few years.
I was just about to ask you what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm now I'm a creative technologist and I work for a New York City agency called Paper Tiger since 2008. Late 2018, early 2019 was a brief overlap while I was kind of freelancing just for them. Then I joined the agency. So I kind of write creative code, I gotta say. I made websites to lower the standard of what I'm talking about. I kind of did, creative stuff, things that move in a nice way. 90% of my job is to take kind of done website and to add some, smooth animations on top, some nice interaction here and there, just to add some spice to the whole thing. And that's pretty much my role. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years, which is kind of half of my life. And I gotta say, 100% of my adult life, because I started when I was like 18. So, and
also not to placate you or anything like that, but I mean, knowing business the way I do, I mean, one, they're not going to make you an offer to join them permanently if you're not great at what you do, and secondly, they're certainly not going to make an offer to somebody based in Italy from a company based out of New York if you're not pretty shit hot at your trade.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm good. I won't lie. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I mean, I think as you mentioned that I work in talent acquisition, so there's always like a part of my brain that's thinking about every situation
yeah.
based on, okay, well,
So you
Jesus.
are the HR guy.
No, not quite HR. I'm an
Yeah.
accessory to HR, but I run.
Okay.
I work in I work in a leadership position, so I've
Yeah, yeah.
got two
Okay,
big
okay.
teams across two massive
Yeah,
accounts
yeah,
that I manage. But
yeah.
again,
Nice.
I know the challenges of hiring somebody internationally, and especially remote workers internationally. They don't hire people internationally unless there's a very, 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 very good reason for that. So kudos to you, my friend. So,
Thanks. Yeah, it was in a way stranger and nice because the guys running the agency, they were actually in the music business. It's funny because they actually ran in 2005 or 4 a label. Funny thing, they produced the first record of a not so good band, in my opinion, but it become super huge. My Chemical Romance. I don't know if you're familiar with the band.
really? Well, I agree
Yeah,
they're rubbish, but I mean,
yeah.
Jesus, that's a
I
fucking
mean, it's
massive band.
yeah, it's not my thing. I mean, I think that they are good in what they are doing. I gotta say, I don't know, but yeah, they produced the first record, and they did also because it was kind of an independent record label, like by no means a major, and they also did the artwork, the graphic artwork for the record, and I think that things went crazy, and the band exploded, and after that, I think they just uh, passed from the record label to the agency, and but once you are in a certain place, if you're born a punk rocker, a metalhead, whatever, you're never gonna be 100% close-minded businessman. You
Yeah.
will always have some room in your life for the things that make you happy, that you enjoy the most, and the guys are just like that. I mean, and even if they're not running the record label in 20 years, they're still super fan of music in general, and so they saw some projects I did online, like in 2017-18. With those projects, I won some awards here and there, like Site of the Day and various platforms, well-known platforms, and they were just like sliding to my Twitter DMs, like, "Hey man, we're blah blah. Would you be interested in working with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" But at first because in Italy, I always had really bad experience with pretty much everybody. I gotta say, it's kind of sad to say, but it is how it is. So at first,
When you say everybody, do you mean professionally speaking?
professionally speaking,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
when it comes to work, yeah, because I'm feeling like we're on the work side, we are so behind. Like we are 20, 30 years behind the rest of the world. And it's sad. But what can I do? It's not my battle. So I just decided to, cut the middleman and just go to work outside. And I mean, it was super nice. Since then, I'm happy. The working environment, it's so better. I mean, here in Italy, it's way more toxic because people get paid shit money. They are asked to work unreal amount of time, and they're not treated like they deserve. And you can change agency, you can change client, but at the end of the day, that's our inheritance on the work side. So there's good and bad, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be bad. So I just,
Is the Italian labor market, just out of curiosity, and I should probably know this, but is the Italian labor market highly regulated the way that it is elsewhere in Europe, like Netherlands, Belgium? I mean, places like that.
If you ask me, it's too regulated.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main problems, because here people have so, I mean, think about that. If you're running a business and you have an employee that is an asshole and just not doing his work or her work, uh, not not doing anything or coming at work, I don't know, drunk or causing issues, you can get rid of him.
Yeah.
You can fire
Well,
him.
so this is the irony of this, right? A lot of people will look at a lot of people of certain political persuasion will look at a highly regulated working environment. They'll go, "That's a great thing, protection for the workers." And what they don't realize is what that actually does is it depresses workers' wages because it becomes
100%.
unprofitable for people to
100%.
invest. Exactly, it becomes unprofitable for companies to invest in that particular country. Because it's difficult to hire people, it's difficult to let people go if they're underperforming, and so they go elsewhere where they don't have to deal with those regulations. And yes, there's pros and cons to
there's pros and cons. There are pros and cons. I mean,
I would say I'm very much an outcomes guy, right? And I think the outcome for me is if the worker is better off because there's more jobs going in the country and therefore less, like the kind of that ratio between talent supply and job supply swings in favor of the talent. So where the talent have the most leverage, that's how they're going to make the most money. And that's one of the problems across big chunks of Europe. People complain about their wages being depressed, but they don't realize the bullshit you keep voting for is what's got you in this mess to begin with.
100%. I mean, of course, I think that workers must have rights, and
without a doubt. I mean, I'm not saying let's stand behind them with a cattle prod and go.
If I speak for myself, I don't have any rights because I work for the US. So
yeah,
and I'm a contractor. I'm not an employee. So
you don't even get your 2 weeks that they would normally give you. So
no, actually, I think that what they have to do to give you, it's not 2 weeks, it's like 5 days. But I can be wrong.
I think so. If you're permanent, it's 2 weeks. If you're contractor, it's 5 days.
By the way, it's really as you were saying, it really comes to how the company or the agency is going and how they like you. And if they like you and you're good and the company is going good, they will have no problem in just giving you the paid time off you need. For instance, and I just don't want to talk about work, but we do have like unlimited paid time off.
Yeah.
And if you want to take a month off, of course you have to agree with the management and stuff. It's not like you can go like, "Hey guys,
you just say, "Oh, my out of office is on. I'll see you guys in a month."
Yeah.
Well, so here's my question: Do the guys at Paper Tiger, do they know about Hierophant?
Of course, 100%.
What do they think of the band?
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
They are super supportive. I mean, whatever. For instance, when I ask about paid time off, in the field, the message field, where you have to, kind of, if you want, you can say what you need the time for. I was like, I gotta play this fest in Germany. I gotta play this fest in whatever, in Slovenia, in whatever, and they're like, approved in like 5 minutes. No problem. Like it's, but the thing is that when I'm not on tour, when I'm not playing shows, whatever, I work all the time, and not because I'm asked to, because I enjoy that. I mean, it's what I'm good at. It's what I'm doing in the last 15 years. So, I mean, if you enjoy what you're doing, it's kind of not feeling like you're working. Of, because you're working. But I gotta say, I never in my life, because I started so early, did a job that I resent. I mean, of course, when I started, I was working for not so good agency here in my area, but I was still doing what I loved. Maybe I wasn't doing the super fancy website for whatever. I was doing, I don't know, a crap website for the car dealership around the corner, you name it. But still, I guess that it's better to start doing crap things on a field that you love, besides doing, I don't know, okay things in a field that you're just not into. You will get bored.
So I have a theory about that approach that you were just talking about now as well, and relating to people's propensity to be successful at what they do, and especially successful in their professional lives. And I do think that the approach of, regardless of what I do, I set out to be the best. If you apply that almost pathologically, you are inevitably going to be successful. When people sit back and go, I don't like the company, or I don't like the product, or I don't like the service, I don't get paid enough, and they sort of fold their arms, that to me is the pathway to either mediocrity or being at the bottom of the chain. Speaking for myself, I when I was in university, my second semester of university, my parents unceremoniously announced, we're no longer paying for any of your shit, so you need to get a job. So I got a job selling movie tickets.
Hello.
And I was, again, I was absolutely obsessed with the idea that, partly because it was such a fucking boring job, but selling movie tickets, I would make sure that my queue is the one that moves fastest. I've got the most money at the end of the night to cash up.
Yeah, but it gets sold.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I still did really well there. I got promoted. I was managing people before I turned 21. Thanks to the fact that I took that job seriously. And then, I came to the UK, did another shit job working customer service for a famous department store, made sure that I did extremely well at that job. Then I took a job working telemarketing. Fucking hated that job more than anything on the face of the earth, but it was like a matter of principle to me. I couldn't leave a day knowing anybody had beaten me as far as sales are concerned. So I did that. I got promoted within 6 months. And I think if you take that mindset into your work with you, that everything you're going to do, no matter how fucking menial it is, you're going to be sure that what you are remembered for at the end of the day, at the end of the week, year, when you leave that place, is excellence by that place's definition, then you are going to do well. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah,
and I often talk to the teams that work for me, and I say, you're at a crossroads every single day, deciding what you're going to do. Are you going to choose the path of being, that I just laid out now, or are you going to sit back and cross your arms and hope for things to come to you? Because I can tell you right now, I know which one I would choose, and I know which one is going to make you successful, and I know which one is not.
Yeah, sure. You gotta keep the flame burning like every day. It's a day by day job. You're never getting there. It's an endless walk within and towards, I guess, nothing. Because I can clearly remember, and your goals kind of evolved during time. Because when you started, you're like, I just wish I can do this website not for the car dealership, but for, I don't know, the local photographer, because it's a little fancier. And then you do that, and the day after, you don't give a shit about that. You're just keeping rising your expectation towards yourself, and then you don't want to do that website for the photographer. You want to do the website for, I don't know, the biggest video game seller in town, and then you wanna do that and this. And when you kind of reach, I wouldn't say the top, but you're playing a game, you kind of feel like you were running towards nothing, because that path brought where you are, which is good, but at the end of the day, it's just leaving you just unsatisfied on a daily basis. And it kind of sucked. I realized that on my job, because all the time I was, reaching for more. And when I eventually did, I gotta say, reach what I was dreaming of when I was like 18, then it was like, then what? Now what? And the thing is that during all the process, I didn't enjoy any of the steps. I would never felt like, oh yeah, I accomplished that. That feels so good. All the time I was like, I did this. I don't care about that anymore. I gotta do better. I gotta do better all the time. All the time, I gotta do better. And eventually, you just don't enjoy the process. But I'm also feeling like this kind of struggle just stay with you and keeps you getting better. And I'm feeling like it's like that with the band too. I mean, when you start playing local shows, you just feel, blessed just to be on a stage, whatever it is. And then you start doing better things, and then I don't know, you play on a tour, you play on big festival, you play with your favorite bands, and eventually everything, gets old. But meanwhile, you are reaching way more things, and you are reaching your goals.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In my personal experience, I quite few things, but I never enjoyed any of those, and it's quite sad now that
I think it's that's a very interesting take. And again, it's different approaches from different people. Like for me, it's never been about enjoyment of anything. It's only about competition. And I sometimes when I say that out loud, I do realize it sounds fucking psychotic, but I mean, it genuinely, every single thing in my life to me is about being the best as good as I can possibly be. I think that's why I loved Thai boxing so much. You were talking earlier about doing something that takes a long time to master, and the fantastic thing about Thai boxing is you could practice a kick for 3 years straight. And then one day, someone somewhere shows you, hey, you need to twist your ankle in a slightly different way. You need to place your foot in a slightly different way, or dip your knee a certain way before you throw that kick, or whatever the case may be. And it changes the whole game. And all of a sudden, it's like you're starting from scratch, but you've uncovered this extra gold nugget. Or you can have a great, you can have a great session sparring with your club, and the next week you go and you're feeling confident, and you get fucking bazookaed by somebody. But I love that constant challenge. And I love that constant reset of expectations and that constant humbling. But I've taken that attitude through my whole life when it comes to work. It's been irrelevant to me what I do. The only thing that's relevant to me is being the best I can possibly be, ideally being better than everybody else, not to the detriment of everybody else, because I'm a big believer in that you can. I think people that are truly great at what they do, they raise people up with them. They never hold people down. They never, they never are an obstacle to people. They're there to empower and create opportunities for other people. But but for me, I think how I'm perceived in a work setting, especially, is extremely important. And I want to be perceived as the person that's the best at what they do. I mean, in some ways, I'm even sometimes kind of like that with this podcast. It's slightly different. I feel like I'm one. I want to give back to the music that I love so much, and there's bands that I love that I want to be in a position where I can. Like I've said this before, I think the most important goal for me with the podcast is I want to be in a position where I can move the needle for bands that I really like and I really believe in. That maybe other podcasts and the shit music magazines and stuff like that, that got stuck on Gojira and other nonsense. They will ignore those bands, and I can be a gateway for those bands to get noticed, and get the attention that they deserve. That's the ultimate goal for the show.
Yeah,
and I want to be the best at doing that.
I'm feeling like we're transitioning from, I would say magazines, but I mean websites in general, from more. Oh, there's my dog here.
What kind of dog do you have?
It's say hi.
Oh wow.
I don't know why he came here. Whatever.
Boy, or well, mate. My dog is like she's an unofficial co-host. She sits in the back of us all the time. So, as male or female, boy.
Yeah. Sorry, I was saying. It's 8. It's 8 years old.
8.
It's a big boy.
Name?
It's Zampa. It's kind of Paul, and I adopted him. It was already called. Yeah. I took
So
it from
you didn't
Shelter.
change his name to Destroyer
No,
or Mutilate?
no, no.
But anyway, sorry, you were saying about transitioning.
I was saying, I think like we're kind of transitioning from the old media to podcast, because I gotta say, me personally, I'm I'm not reading anymore like reviews or websites in general. I mean, I gotta say also when I found our Hierophant stuff online, like reviews or interviews, I mean, I didn't find those to be super, appealing, interesting, 100%, catching. Uh, so I'm feeling like everything is transitioning to podcast now.
Mm.
In so many, fields, in workout, in music, in work. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts that are featuring like entrepreneurs or people that have cool ideas. I don't know. There's some like valuetainment, or I don't know, maybe Joe Rogan sometimes just interview some entrepreneurs that have made a super shitload of money with great ideas. I mean, I'm now finding more interesting a 3 hours conversation between two guys that are just talking whatever, rather than a 3 paragraph article talking about the record.
Yeah.
And I think that is because the media and the society just kept pushing from the last, I don't know, 10 years to shorten things. Back then, everything was lengthy. If you wanted to listen to some music, you have to. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to remember that when we had to, listen to something, you had to buy the record, and you had no money. So it's kind of, you can buy one record for 1 month and a half, maybe 2 months. So you only have this one. So you are listening it really, really carefully. Now it's everything transitioned to, a shorter and shorter and shorter attention span. And I'm feeling like most of the people, I mean, maybe not most of the people, but many people just can't stand that anymore. I mean, you see shorts on Instagram or on YouTube, people that are just sending messages in 5 seconds. I mean, I can't get anything in 5 seconds.
No,
it's not like you can be relevant in 5 seconds. So I guess that we're in a process of, some people will just look for always shorter things like TikToks, where you are finding people do stupid things for 2 seconds.
I was about to say the amplification
Yeah.
device for the mentally unwell, but anyway.
Yeah. And in the other side, you're gonna find people, I gotta say, like us, which just refuse that imposition from the society, and that want lengthy stuff, that want meaningful things, and things that takes effort, because it's kind of like a book or a record. It's not like you can say yes or no in 5 seconds. You gotta stay there for an hour, 2 hours, days, just to see if you are on the same, on the same length.
Yeah. Well, I think I completely agree with your take, and I think part of the groundswell and appetite for podcasting, I think, is the fact that this is the way that people converse, right? If you and I met up in a bar and we started talking, this is how we're going to talk. We're not going to say,
wouldn't be that different.
we're not going to say 140 characters to each other and then, okay, goodbye. Or you know, the way it is
Retreat.
on the news, we're going to just scream at each other back and forth and talk
Yeah.
over each other. That's not functional communication. Functional
No.
communication is long form communication like you and I are having. And I think people gravitate towards that. I think there's an appetite for it because they don't see it anywhere else. And I think they also want to see authentic communication. So they don't want to see something that feels staged or contrived or like it was, you know,
Scripted.
usually yeah, exactly, scripted, pre-prepared. That was always my biggest issue with a lot of, you know, what passed for, you know, metal interviews, you know, metal commentary and stuff previously. All of it seemed scripted. Like, I mean, I remember Vanessa Warwick on MTV Headbangers Ball, and she would literally stand there with a clipboard that had the questions on it. And then she would ask them, you know, ask the bands these questions, and you can see they're looking at her like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, you're not even asking me a question that's in context of the wider conversation. You sound like an imbecile. And she would just kind of go on, and that's really that's really all people had, right? You know, so
Yeah.
I appreciated it for what it was, because that was the only way that I could get to know people that I liked. But you know, when I discovered Joe Rogan, I saw an opportunity for an avenue where we could do that with people in the metal scene, because people in the metal scene are, generally speaking, very many of them are very interesting people. It takes a certain mindset to be attracted to this music and to, you know, to be into this music in the way that makes you create great music in that style. And that, again, that's what I want to showcase with a podcast. You almost want to make it so that anybody, even if they're not necessarily into the music, can listen to it and get something from it. You know, same as valuetainment or something like that. But just because we've been talking for an hour and 6 minutes without really even touching on Hierophant, I have to tell you, one of the things I love about Death Siege, I was trying to think the other day, how would I describe it? And I feel like there's a conscious recklessness to it, right? Like by that I mean, you have a couple of bands that do this really, really well, you know, like new, if we think newer bands first and foremost, like I think Daiva is one of those bands.
Sorry?
Is it Daiva? I think so, yeah. They put out it's like this blackened thrash record they put out last year.
I'm not familiar with the band. Never.
I'll need to send it to you. It's very, very good.
Thanks.
And yeah, but anyway, so you have a couple of bands that do that really well, but that sense of danger, right, that I think sometimes is missing from a lot of modern music, where it feels very overproduced, very clinical. You know, it feels like everything is kind of pieced together in a studio rather than born organically from, you know, the sweat and the fucking stink of a band room, or you know, playing on stage with you know, like-minded men or like-minded women for you know, a lengthy period of time. That's on this record, and that's part of the appeal to it. Like it has that almost like like Slayer's Show No Mercy. That, you know, if I think of the most classical example of where I get that vibe from, that's like a great vibe. You know, when you hear Black Magic, it has that like conscious recklessness to it that really I don't personally think any of the other thrash bands had. Certainly not at the time.
No.
What's the response been like to Death Siege? Because obviously it took such a long period of gestation to kind of get this out and into the public. There must be quite a lot of anticipation with you as a creator to see what people think of your work.
You know, it was strange, because we kind of migrated from a different music style, I gotta say, because one step behind. I joined the band in 2017, like a few months later than Masquerade, the previous record was released, and it was a super heavy and slow death metal album. I wouldn't call it doom, because it's not doom by no means, but it's really, really heavy. It's, you know, it's a tombstone on your head. It's really, you know, sludgy, I gotta say. And thing is that in my mind, the band was so metal oriented, and in Lorenzo's mind too. Lorenzo is the singer and the guitar player, is the mastermind of the project, and he asked me to join the band because there were some uh, people leaving for they just changed life. No, nothing happened actually. Just they went to another country to living. So it was not possible to continue with the band. We're still friends, of course. And Lorenzo just took the chance to say, you know what, I love the path we took with Musgrave, and we want just to take it to the next level. We want to be, pedal to the metal and just play super extreme music with some black metal. And we started this process. But thing is that during 2018, we played a lot of shows. Like, shows were just coming at us. We did a couple tours. We did summer festivals. We also played a super great festival called Partisan in Germany. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I do, yeah. I do know.
That year, Vatain were headliner, and I was blessed because Vatain, I personally think that they are the best new black metal bands, and with new I mean after the 90s.
Yeah.
I think that they are what Dissection would have been today. And
I think that's a fair assessment.
It's a fair assessment. I mean, not want to offend anyone, but I'm a diehard Dissection fan. I mean, I don't know if you see that Siege video, but I got a white flying green, and of course it's because of John Oldbit. Of course, yeah. And so we just started when we got time to write new things, and we wrote just one new song. It's called Spawned Abortions, and because we wanted to just carve something on the stone to see where we were adding and to see if someone would be interested in that. And we recorded a 7 inches called Spawned Abortions, and we released it on a 7 inches vinyl. Super nice. And one things I want to mention is the cover artwork of the 7 inches was done by Timo Ketola, which was also a friend of the band of mine, because we worked together, and unfortunately he's not with us anymore. So
shit, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it will be missed. I'm sure that you saw some of his artworks. He did things for That Spell Omega. He did things for Vatain and for endless other bands. And we did things together on, I don't know if you ever heard that, but Battle Methodology, the webzine, the website.
Yeah.
Okay. I helped Niklas, which is the editor in chief, to run the website. I mean, I did the website with him back in 2016, I guess. So we worked with Timo because he was just doing the artworks, and it was so good. Yeah, sorry, I digressed. Where were we? Oh yeah, Spawned Abortions. We did this single, and people loved it. I remember that we played there at Partisan. We played this new song, and people got crazy. So, I mean, it's not like you gotta listen to what people are saying, but of course, if everybody is telling you that you suck, maybe you suck.
Yeah, I was about to say you kind of need to pay attention then.
Yeah, you have to pay attention, and everybody were stoked about that. So we were like, okay, just continue on that, but now we need to write a full record. So 2019 we did actually the longest tour we did since I am with the band. We did a 18 dates tour with the German band Deserted Fear. They played the modern death metal. It was so good. The guys were unreal, and the tour were super great. And after that, we were like, okay, enough touring, enough playing. We need to write a new record. because our agent at the time, it was like, guys, I have you play everywhere. We need a new record. You played everywhere. We need to stop. We need new music. So we refused every things that were coming in, and we just started writing the new stuff. But time frame was February 2020, and then we all knew what happened. So
Yeah.
I mean, first month where we didn't. I gotta say, we didn't do anything. We were in shock, and I mean, it's not like you can just tunnel vision from a day to another and be like, okay, today we are writing the new record. Even if we are not seeing each other, even if we can talk face to face or play together in the rehearsal room. So at first it was strange, but we kind of embraced that because it was this way or nothing. So nothing was not an option. So we forced ourselves to endless Zoom calls. We called ourselves on WhatsApp like at 2 at night, writing riffs and sending each other videos of us playing riffs, and it was unbearable, I gotta say. But at the end of the day, it was the only possible way. So we took it, and we closed the record in June 2021. It was recorded. It was we got the artwork and all the stuff. But of course, the guys at Season of Mist were like, we don't know if it's the right time to release it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there were a lot of uncertainty. The vinyl pressing were still kind of, you know, up in the air. Deadlines were not sure. So we were like, you know what? We waited for a year and a half. We're going to wait another year, whatever. And kind of went like that. I gotta say, you mentioned that the record sounds true and real. And first, thanks. But this is, of course, intentional. We recorded that pretty much everything in one take. Drum
really?
was, yeah. Not together. We played separate. But for instance, drum was, okay, song one from first riff to the last one, and it was kind of like this also for. No, I gotta say, because I recorded also the guitar solos. I recorded the guitar solos in a separate track, but apart from the guitar solos, everything was, you know, song starts, you play everything until the song ends,
and it has that it has that kind of very organic, almost slightly unhinged feeling because of it, which is awesome, which serves the music really, really well.
You know what? I'm feeling like too many bands, and I mean, if you're playing technical death metal, I guess that's kind of what you're doing. So it fits your style. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. But if you're playing something different, I don't know, thrash metal, death metal, even heavy metal or whatever genre, I'm feeling like nowadays things are too much overproduced. And with overproduced, I mean like the bass is MIDI, the drum it's MIDI, the guitar is super edited. You cannot feel that it's digital kindish, and I just don't like that. I don't know. Every time when you click play and you hear, I'm like, get out of here. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone likes that, cool. It's not like I'm against it, but I don't like it. And 100%, I don't want this for my band. I mean, we play. Think that when we play live, and everybody that is so us live can confirm that we are a different band when you saw us live, because we have a punk approach. punk slash rock and roll approach. I mean, we are super tight when it comes to playing, but we are. I don't know if you are kind of expert about gear in general. I don't know if you play.
No, I don't. Well, I dabbled, but it's not
Okay.
not enough to even say that I played.
Okay, we're gonna dump it up. We have full stocks, and we play with 80s Marshalls.
Yeah.
Marshall from the 80s, and we do have 2 guitar cabinets. The big one, the one looking like a fridge.
Yeah.
And we bring over everywhere we play everything, even if we are losing money or if it's inconvenient. We don't give a shit. This is our stage set. This is how we play, and this is the sound we want to give the people, and we don't want compromise on that. Like, never, because I'm feeling like too many bands compromise on the sound, but at the end of the day, it's when you play, the sound is like 80% of what you're doing, because if your guitar sounds like...
nowadays a lot of bands are compromising on the performance as well. I mean, there's bands that are like have extensive backing tracks on stage, and I mean, I would say I don't necessarily mind if you like Niall having the the backing synth stuff on stage. I don't mind that so much. I don't even mind so much if someone like Blackie Lawless at the age of 67 has backing vocals on stage. It doesn't bother me too much, but younger bands, especially when you know they've got like multiple guitar tracks going over what they're doing and things like that, it's just it does really kind of lose that organic feel, which is so much fun. Right? That's what creates that danger. It's what creates that true live element, right? Like, Cheyenne and I are both pro wrestling fans, and I think we both agree. Like, there was a feeling you got when you watched pro wrestling in the late 90s when everything was live. It felt like something could fucking pop off at any moment, even though it's heavily orchestrated, heavily scripted.
Yeah,
it felt like something was gonna fly off the handle at any point. I like that feeling in music as well. That band, by the way, I just remember now. So Daiva's record is called Of Sheer Will and Black Magic. Perfect band for you guys to go on tour with. I'm just saying. It's like the perfect man. I'll send it to you when this is done. But like a marriage of styles, it would be a fucking killer lineup.
Cool. Talking about tours, we don't have any tours planned so far, because now we are more focused on playing, key shows. We are doing from now. I gotta say, from April until October, we are just playing festivals. We play the Black Winter Festival in Italy with Carpathian Forest and Canon and Fiber. And we are playing, I don't know how it's pronounced, Telflog Open Air in Austria, with Ahab and Caronti is another band from Italy. They're super good. They play Doom. It's not really black death metal band like us. They're super good. And then we got the Inflamen in Germany. It's a super nice festival. And then we got the big guns. We got the Metal Days and the Rockstad Festival in Romania.
Yeah.
And then we got super cool things, which is the winter edition of Partisan in September. And we got one of the things that I am so looking forward. Maybe the things I'm mostly looking forward this year, which is the Prague Death Mass. It's a super exclusive show in Prague, and we're playing with Diocletian, with Bolzer, with Mortuary Drape, with Alborim, the Italian black metal band, are doing the industrial set. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, I'm so Mare are playing. Mare from, I think they're from Norway.
Yeah.
Devil, the band from Norway, is playing. I mean, it's gonna be. That's the place where we want to be. That's the place where we were looking to be featured on when we started okay, we wanna play extreme metal. So I guess that things are wrapping the way we were planning. So I guess that's good.
I was about to say, it's a nice way to kind of come full circle with what we were talking about in terms of, how the record's been perceived and how people have responded to it. All right, my friend. Well, look, this has been a fantastic conversation. I think we're definitely going to have to do it at some point again down the road. And in the meantime, stay in touch. I'm gonna send that Daiva record over to you because I know you'll love it. And as I said, I mean, appreciate you reaching out. It was a very pleasant surprise. I've liked that Hierophant record a lot. So it was like,
thanks, man.
You guys have been on my list to at some point get on in any case. But
cool.
Awesome that it happened. So
I was that when I first did the podcast with Cheyenne, and actually I never did that before. And after that, I felt like, you know what, I kind of like that.
It's fun. It's like I said, it's you get to know the other person, and the thing that you'll find is if you have the right chemistry with somebody, which is why I told you. I mean, we definitely need to do another one of these. When you've got the right chemistry with somebody, then the next episode is even better because now the formalities are out of the way. You know the person. You guys can start talking about whatever you want to talk about from the off. You know what if you can joke around with a person, you know what to watch out for. It's just Cheyenne and I have done 4 of them, and I dare say the last one we did was far and away the best episode we've recorded. I'd maybe go as far as to say it might be one of the best episodes I've recorded on the show. So cool. All right, my man. But I hope I'm going to see you guys around the UK at some point. But if not, as I said, we will stay in touch and we'll speak again very soon.
Cool. Thanks, Jackie, for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Sky
That was In Chaos, in Death by Hierophant off their crushing record Death Siege, available right now on Season of Mist, and a big thank you to Fabio for coming on the podcast. I had an absolute blast catching up with him, and honestly, if it weren't for the fact that I was a bit blary-eyed from a long week at work, I think that conversation could have run for at least another hour. So he'll definitely be back on the show. Of course, if he wants to be, I have no reason to believe that he won't. But in the meantime, check out the new Hierophant record, link in the description to the podcast. And as always, do tell them who sent you if you end up buying yourself some music. Now, I want to talk about the new Cattle Decapitation, because this is one of, if not the most anticipated death metal record of 2023. I have got to say, I'm gonna stick by my take on the album cover, because I hated it so much when I first saw the picture that it almost put me off wanting to hear the record altogether. And then, of course, if you follow the news rant, you'll know I heard the first two singles and I was absolutely blown away by it. And I can tell you right now, I think that this is not only one of the very best death metal records of 2023, I think this might be a very strong contender for the greatest thing that Cattle Decapitation has ever done. I have been a fan of this band pretty much since 2002 when I discovered them on their third record, To Serve Man. I have steadily been enjoying their progress from being a relatively bog-standard, Carcass-inspired grind band, to being this really creatively free extreme metal group that has brought something very unique and very interesting to almost every record that they've done. In my view, prior to Terrasite, Monolith of Inhumanity, and particularly the Anthropocene Extinction, would certainly have ranked up as my favorite records that this band has done. I really liked their 2019 album Death Atlas when it came out. I will say, in hindsight, that album, I think, has been... it's not been one that I've necessarily gravitated towards, beyond kind of the first 6 months of enjoying it. And upon reflection, and I thought about this particularly as I was thinking about what I was going to say about Terrasite, I think the reason for that is that album has got a couple of interesting ideas, but the basic structure of the compositions is actually quite shallow, especially in comparison to the Anthropocene Extinction. And so those interesting ideas, those tricks that it has up its sleeve, it kind of tends to run out of steam a little bit once you've experienced them a couple of times. And there's nothing that's really kind of pulling you back, and nothing that's making you want to go back. And I would also say, because some of those songs on that record are comparatively speaking, more simplistic than what I heard on Anthropocene Extinction, the emotional weight I think that they were trying to convey with some of the elements they added in, it just doesn't quite land. A good example of that. So anybody who knows Death Atlas will be able to understand what I'm talking about here. The final track on that album is a over 9 minute long song. It's kind of comes at you with a lot of pomp, a lot of bluster. It's meant to be the song that brings a grown man close to tears because of what they're singing about, and I don't think it quite earns it, based on the fact that, as I said, I think the music undercuts what I know these men are capable of. And sure enough, on Terrasite, I think they've actually ended up creating the record they wanted to create on Death Atlas. This album has all of the fucking punishing grooves, the kick-ass riffing, the extremity that you enjoyed off of the Anthropocene Extinction. All of that density, all of the creativity is there. But all of those, I dare say slightly more accessible elements that they brought onto Death Atlas have been deployed here once again, including liberal doses of Travis Ryan's Goblin vocals. But it is executed so much better. It is just unbelievable. And with this album, it is just hit after hit after hit. The first song, Terrasite Adaptation, starts the record off perfectly. Then we've got I believe it was the first single, We Eat Our Young, followed by the even better second single, Scourge of the Offspring. And from there, the album just gets better. The Insignificance has this really cool part at the end of the song that's almost kind of Fields of the Nephilim-esque in the way that Travis does his clean vocals. And that's preceded by this really kind of deep, gargling, throaty grunt that he does. The Storm Upstairs, similarly, has this hugely catchy vocal hook, that just makes you want to go back to the song again and again. And again, every single song has these moments. There's never a point on this album where you kind of feel, well, you wowed me on the previous song. This one is just filler until the next point that you wow me. There's a wow moment on every single song on this record. The production is absolutely superb. The vocal performance by Travis, as I said, is fucking beyond top notch. And I have to call out David McGraw on the drums. Jesus Christ, this guy plays well. I believe he was the drummer for the band when I saw them play with... In fact, he definitely was the drummer for the band when I saw them play with Broken Hope a couple of years back. And I remember watching him play live and, absolutely in disbelief that a fucking human being could pull off what he was doing on stage. But I think on this album, he's truly excelled himself. There's not a moment here that's boring. The drumming is super intense. I mean, yes, it's heavily produced, and I would imagine quite heavily triggered. But even so, I mean, the dude knows his way around a drum kit. And frankly, so does everybody around their instruments. The only person whose instrument is perhaps not quite as sharp as it once was is old Wes Ben Scooter, who did the album cover. All jokes aside, I still don't like it, but I also don't give a fuck. I made a prediction that this was going to be the best album with the worst cover ever. I stand by that. As a matter of fact, that prediction has now become true, because this album is absolutely fucking sensational. And I would be surprised not only if it ranks pretty highly up on a lot of year-end best lists, but I suspect that you, the legions, are going to agree with us. So I'm going to play one of my favorite songs off the album right now. This is a track called The Insignificance. That was a song called The Insignificance, the band, of course, Cattle Decapitation. Who else has those vocals? The album's available right now on Metal Blade Records. I did reach out to my connects at Metal Blade to see if I could get somebody from the band on the podcast, but sadly, apparently the number of press engagements they had committed to was limited, so who knows, maybe down the line in the future it could happen. I'll tell you one way in which you could help make it happen. I will post the link to their Bandcamp in the description to the podcast. If you do go and buy yourself anything there, you let them know who sent you. And the more we make noise, the more there'll hopefully be a bit of impetus for somebody from the band to come on. But I fucking love this album, as I said. And I'm glad that it has turned out to be as good as it has. Because, like I said, it's a band who I have loved for a very long time. It would have been a real shame for them to turn up a stinker right about now. Anyway, on that note, we're going to separate the stinkers from the top-notch tracks in just a second as we jump over to Metal Storm for my weekly news rant. So before we get started on Metal Storm, I wanted to talk about the situation with my countrymen in Vulvodynia. Now, Vulvodynia are a band who, frankly, I barely knew about, and then last year, I think around September time, I heard one of their tracks, I listened to one of their tracks on the weekly news rant. Turns out they weren't too bad. You guys all know my thoughts, sadly, that, when it comes to rugby and food, South Africa have got it, they've got it going on. But much of the local metal scene has some ways to go to make up the delta in terms of quality between what they put out musically and what we do elsewhere in the country. But anyways, Vulvodynia was a bit of an exception and a surprise, and likewise, it has been really cool to see them, getting signed to Unique Leader. They're out on a big world tour right now. And they're doing things that, year 2-4 in South Africa, very rarely, if ever, got done. I mean, I can think of maybe 2 or 3 extreme metal bands from South Africa that have ever achieved anything meaningful. And I would almost argue, I think Vulvodynia are potentially the band that has achieved the most. So, as all of these great things are happening with the band, the stain on society known as Duncan Bentley, their vocalist, decided, I've achieved an awful lot, but it's time for me to create a degree of challenge in my life. And so he tries to kill their drummer. So anyway, the headline here reads, Vulvodynia fires vocalist after he allegedly tried to kill their drummer. He threatened and tried to kill our drummer, Tom, it's quoted as saying, Tom ended in hospital and sustained various injuries, including a badly broken nose. If you look at the photo, if you're watching this on YouTube, yes, he looks a little busted up. It says here, Vulvodynia has fired their vocalist, Duncan Bentley, due to what they allege is recurring uncontrollable violence. Vulvodynia states that Bentley has threatened and eventually tried to kill their drummer, Tom Hughes, and accuse him of being a manipulator, a psychopath, and a compulsive liar. Vulvodynia further alleges that Duncan still has access to their social media and has been deleting their posts. The following is a statement from Vulvodynia, and the pictures above were included should they be removed. So we are sure you've all been wondering what's going on, and you deserve to know. Due to recent events and recurring uncontrollable violence from Duncan Bentley, we can no longer have him in the band. This has been something we have been considering even before this tour, but had to continue and try to do our best because the financial losses would have been too devastating. He threatened and tried to kill our drummer, Tom. Tom ended in hospital and sustained various injuries, including a badly broken nose. We thought it was alcohol-related, but now we know it's just who he is. They then go on to say that they'll be continuing the tour without him. The interesting thing about this, when they posted it on Facebook, is a bunch of people started commenting. There were the odd folks that said, I met him at such and such a show. He seemed like a very nice guy. But they had a former member of the band chime in and say that Duncan's behavior was the reason why he left. There were also folks that seemed to be in the know that alleged that he's been a little heavy-handed with folks outside the band. Potentially, and I say this, not as a proven fact, because even the case here, we don't necessarily know 100% what happened, but it seems as though, according to some of the allegations, he may potentially have been heavy-handed with his wife as well. But either way, I mean, the situation being what it is, like I said, in South Africa, conceding the fact that many of the bands there are crap, it is the long-held dream of anybody in a band that maybe you'll get noticed by a record label and get picked up. So, these guys are breathing rare air indeed. And to pick a fist fight with somebody for whatever reason, when you're in the position that they are, knowing that it threatens not only the future of the band, but almost certainly your future in the band, that speaks to me to a pathological streak of self-destruction that is governing that person's mindset. There's absolutely no two ways about it. And I think the thing that's most interesting is Duncan's response. So a follow-up post on Metal Injection says Vulvodynia fired their vocalist Duncan Bentley over the weekend over allegations of him trying to kill drummer Tom Hughes surfaced, blah, blah, blah. Now Bentley has issued his own statement. In a lengthy post, Bentley apologized to Hughes, but denied ever trying to kill him. Now, here's my thing, right? If somebody has picked a fight with me, if I'm innocent in this and somebody tries to pick a fight with me and I'm defending myself and that person ends up getting, a little tuned up, as they say, I'm not fucking apologizing. You started the fight. I ended the fight. So it's interesting to me that, Bentley apologized. But anyway, he says here, it says here, Bentley added that his anger with the band stemmed from a misuse of funds. And that this wasn't the first time he and Hughes got into an altercation. Bentley also claims that Vulvodynia is assassinating his character as a person. Bro, you seemingly, beat the fucking bejesus out of your drummer. And apparently you weren't even drunk at the time, so this is just the way that you are. I'm not sure there's much more character assassination that they could do. You've done a pretty good job of assassinating your own goddamn character. But anyway, it says here, this is his actual statement. Hello, everyone. This is Duncan's Bentley. I'm writing this to you all today with a heavy heart. There's no easy way to talk about what happened recently, but it is important that I do. I've been silent now until now because I was stranded without means to communicate. Anyway, so fucking long-winded bullshit. He says, first up, I owe the band, our crew, and Tom an apology. An apology seems so small in the face of what happened, but I need to offer it. I'm so sorry for what happened in Prague. We shared so many stages, so many good times, and I never wanted our story to end on a night like that. Maybe if you didn't get handsy, that would have been the case. Anyway, he says, to clear up any misconceptions, I want everyone to know that I've been sober since March 30th. I never tried to kill Tom like all the headlines are saying. The reason our argument started that night was because I was wrongly accused of drinking while I was actually sober, taking care of my bandmates who were themselves drinking. The frustration of seeing our hard-earned band funds being used on drinks, drugs, lap dances, etc., and then being accused of drinking myself when I was merely tired escalated an already existing tension. The misuse of funds had been a recurring event since the band bank account was put in Tom's name. This isn't the first time that Tom and I have had a physical altercation. On our third European tour, Tom choked me out after pulling me out of our tour van during a heated argument, leaving me feeling betrayed and hurt. It should have left you feeling unconscious. But anyway, then in the Philippines, I attacked him in a drunken rage after not having slept properly and having to deal with grief from the death of a family member. I'm not proud of these incidents, and they are no excuses for my behavior, but I do want to make it clear that these were isolated events and that Tom and I have had many positive experiences together as friends and bandmates. Anyway, much of it to me is complete and utter tripe. People that have violent tendencies always tend to, they can cut a very sorry state when they're in a position where they're held accountable for their behavior. And again, it might come out that, or some cell phone footage might leak that shows that, actually it was Tom's fault, but I doubt it. You don't apologize to somebody if, someone is, even if someone has antagonized you into a fight verbally, and the fight starts, I would still not apologize if I were in that person's shoes. This to me is, guy is got a hair trigger temper, whatever the case may be, flew off the handle, picked a fight with somebody like a fucking absolute idiot. Now he realizes that the bell tolls for him. So kudos to the Vulvodynia guys for carrying on their show. And as far as Duncan is concerned, on all seriousness and mocking the South African accent aside, I do hope, for the sake of the people that are around this guy and for himself, that he gets the help that he needs, because he clearly needs help. Anyways, from that headline of from that dumbass news story, we move on to Metal Storm. Let's listen to some music and see if we can get something that helps raise the mood somewhat. So, Hella Ruin have shared a new track and lyric video. It says here, Dutch one-man black metal band Hella Ruin shared a brand new single from upcoming studio album Devil's Death and the Dark Arts. Titled The Flame Still Burns Within Me, it can be streamed together with a lyric video produced by Frank Johansson below. I don't think that I know what Hella Ruin sounds like, so I'm about to find out. Let's hear what this sounds like.
Deep in the gorge of death awaits a song to sing, for the crowns we once wore have seized the voices we proudly raised. One forevermore shall see the beauty that is her, a beauty calleth you death, and I walk towards her, onwards to eternity.
I think it takes an awful lot of confidence to do anything spoken word on a song, and especially whispering. So clearly the dude has a lot of confidence. It doesn't necessarily make it good either. Whispering, in my view, only really, I can't off the top of my head think of a single example where somebody has done that whispering shit in a song and it's worked. And frankly, I can think of very, very few spoken word parts of a song that I think has worked either. So yeah, then when the riff kicks in, it's all right, but it's not. It's certainly not hitting me in the feels. It's definitely not. We heard some great tunes on last week's news rant, and this is nowhere near that. It is a long song though, so it may well find its feet later on. So let's jump to the 4 minute 30-second mark, and let's hear where we're at. Nowhere further than where we were. So it's a 5 out of 10 tune in my view. I can certainly see some people really liking it, but I've heard that style of music done a million times better by many other bands. So, all right, we move on. All right. Tantafaxath. I think we listened to these guys a couple of weeks ago, actually. So Tantafaxath present Mind of the Sun, the closing track from their long-awaited new album, Hive Mind Narcosis, which comes out on June the 2nd. It comes out through Dark Descent Records. If memory serves me correctly, I quite like that previous song that we heard. So let's hear if they can keep up the momentum.
Great
There's a guitar line there that sounds like either a car revving its engine or a guy trying to fire up his lawnmower. And I can't figure out whether I like it or whether it's absolutely terrible. And I mean, the song itself, it's not bad. Vocalist is very good, and I don't mind the production. So there's a couple of things I'm liking about it so far. I'm not convinced. I'm not bowled over. Let's give it another 60 seconds. So there it's starting to pick up a bit. You know, I like where they've taken that additional guitar track. You know, there's, I mean, that weird kind of bend riff that they were doing, it just didn't, like I said, I don't know whether it was working for me. And then obviously it evolves into something a little bit different in the second sequence of the song, which isn't bad. I mean, it's not something that I'm going to get particularly excited about, I don't think. It's not bad. It's interesting. It sounds quite unique in the grand scheme of things. But you know, unique is not always, you know, it's not always a guarantee of excellence. Right, Zalpen have launched a new video. It says here, black metalers Zalpen are unveiling a new music video for the Curse of Quanyep. The title track of their recently released second full-length. The video clip was produced by P. Lopez. The thumbnail for the video clip looks like a screen grab of the TV series What We Do in the Shadows. Now, that being said, hopefully they take their music a little bit more seriously. Grown man in underpants running on the beach. Once again, that motif rears its head. And the song, I mean, we were 1 minute 14 in and the same riff was still playing. You know, when I talk about shit bands from South Africa, there was a band out of South Africa when I was a young buck, when I was a lad, called Nocturnal Dominion, that was fucking atrocious. And a lot of their music sounded exactly like that. That sounds like something they would have come up with. But yeah, no, I'm not going to bother listening to this anymore. It's fucking awful. Okay, let's move on. Abigail Williams are signing to Agonia Records. Agonia Records definitely making some moves. I'll give them that. Humanity's Last Breath, 5th studio album announced. Incendiary unveil Lie of Liberty track. Incendiary are a bit of a cookie cutter hardcore band as far as I'm concerned. Varmia are streaming a new song. It says here, Agre, the second single from the Varmia's forthcoming studio record. Again, Jesus Christ, do these people not own a spell checker? Ninas Vitsa has surfaced online and is available for streaming as a visualizer via YouTube Player Down Under. Right, let's give this a listen. So far, I'm not impressed. I'm just, what is going on this week? I mean, there's some weeks where, like, you know, it's just one banger after the other, and I actually start to get a bit self-conscious because I think to myself, this segment is meant to be completely off the cuff, which is definitely what it is, and I don't want it to be that I'm just listening to songs that I like, because either A, it makes it sound like I have no fucking, I have no discernment between what's good and what's not. I just like everything. Or it, it could just seem like I'm cherry picking stuff. So I'm not cherry picking anything. I'm just listening to, songs as they catch my eye. But I mean, the opening riff was pretty cool, and then with that weird ghostly singing that they've layered over that, I don't think that works. I don't think that works at all, to be honest with you. I hope that it's just part of the song, because and let's say a regrettable part of the song. So let's go to the 3-minute mark and hear where we're at. I'm afraid this is, in 2023, that is what you call substandard. And especially that drummer. I hate those that style of drumming, like the... It just sounds like somebody who's just learned how to play the drums. And I know it's not true. I'm sure he's a capable drummer. But it's just, whoever said don't be creative with your drumming, don't put anything, no variety, no nothing, we just want da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you are a fool. They should never listen to that person's opinion ever again. Okay, let's check out what else is up. Pupil Slicer have launched a new music video, a new music piece and video. I think that I listened to the last Pupil Slicer single and didn't care for it. There's a massive amount of buzz around this band, though. So, as a matter of fact, I know for sure I listened to the previous one and I disliked it, but we'll listen to this anyway. So it says, Pupil Slicer have put out the latest visual installment from their upcoming album, Blossom, due on June the 2nd, 2023. The Mathcore Ensemble present a combined video for the tracks Glaring Dark of Night and Momentary Actuality, produced and directed by David Gregory. Pupil Slicer, you have a chance to vindicate yourself, so impress me. What is it with these fucking long intros to music videos? Alright, we're finally getting somewhere now. but I'm going to skip ahead to what I hope is the intro, because if they're pitching this as a single, again, whoever gave them that advice, they need to get their asses fired. So we're jumping to the 2-minute 30-second mark of the song.
It's hard to say. The ultimate cruelty is a construct, not rational beings. To our taken life is a cold, cruel joke. I will take you after stability. Yes, never-ending strife, turning up the yoke, breaking your way out and running free. Because the less of what we accept, it doesn't matter to me. Conflict of instinct, basic of helplessness. You're sorry you had to die like this. Let me go. Did I really want this? You wouldn't know. The pain I felt when I had to go and leave it all behind.
If you're sitting back saying, I bet Jackie thinks this is terrible, you'd be wrong. I actually don't mind that at all. Not normally music that's in my wheelhouse, I have to be honest with you, but I quite like it. There's something about that melody in the clean singing that I think is very cool, very catchy. I think her screaming vocals are good. I think the riffing's good. I think the playing is good. The song took an age to get going, but clearly when it does, it's actually pretty interesting. So I don't mind that at all. I have to say, and I mean no disrespect to the band, but I have a feeling they are going to come to regret using the name Pupil Slicer, because it sounds like a very bog standard, gore grind or gory horror orientated death metal band, and I think for a band like them, I feel like that could be pretty limiting. And now the argument could be, well, we don't care about that. We don't care about the money, man. It's like, well, you do have to make money to keep the band, progressing, and to keep, be able to go on tours and to be able to do all those nice things, especially now. So if you want to do a project that you're, running from your house, that's one thing. But, Alan Averill does some, I think, really excellent commentaries on the music business on his podcast. So if you haven't listened to those yet, Agitators Anonymous, great podcast, and especially the music industry stuff, I think is super interesting. Okay, so Vomitory have released a new track online. It says here, to taste another piece of the Vomitory's highly anticipated new album, All Heads Are Gonna Roll, their first one after 2011, you can now check out a Marcus Swenson directed music video for the Raped, Strangled, Sodomized, Dead single. Okay, we're happy to listen to it. Vomitory, not a band that's really featured very much on my radar. But I did see that Metal Twitter was a buzz after the single was dropped, so let's hear what the fuss is all about. It's all right. The melodies are I've heard that melody at least 10 times on 10 other songs. The vocalist sounds a bit flat in my opinion, but the song overall isn't bad, but nothing particularly exciting. Much more exciting is the fact that Werewolves are releasing a new full-length. It says here, to continue the consistency of putting out new albums every single year, Black Death Metal formation, Werewolves have announced their return with their fourth one, My Enemies Look and Sound Like Me, on August the 11th. Mixed and mastered by Joe Haley at Crawl Space Studio. Listen to the first single, inspired by Tupac's Hit 'Em Up, Under the Ground, and watch the Rabid music video. Bandcamp link is in that article, so we're going to have to jump on what's his face on YouTube and see if we can find it. Was it called Under the Ground? And let's give it a quick spin. There we go. I've got it. Right. I'm not going to lie. I did say that all of my reactions on here are completely off the cuff. This is not one of those that are off the cuff, because I've heard this whole album, and it, by the way, it's fucking fantastic. So, spoiler alert, Under the Ground is also fantastic, but you guys are going to hear it anyway.
It's everything you wish for.
Jesus fucking Christ! I forgot that I'm still on my non YouTube Plus account. There we go. Problem solved. So yeah, I literally got like YouTube, not YouTube Plus, YouTube Premium, just so I don't have to see those fucking godforsaken ads. There's this one ad, the ad that really kind of pushed me in that direction was this one that kept cropping up that the Guardian does. Now, the Guardian, in my opinion, is one of the worst newspapers on the face of the earth. I think that anybody who reads it is a fucking dullard. But anyway, so be that as it may, you have these. The entire ad is populated by these condescending, smarmy, middle class pseudo intellectuals, and then they do what those people always do. Those people always have a specific way of speaking, a specific vernacular, a specific cadence in their voice. The one guy's like, the role of the Guardian is to speak truth to power. Like he's grabbing the words out of the sky or some shit. To speak truth to power. It's like, and I think it was about the third time that popped up when I was watching something on YouTube. I just couldn't fucking bear it anymore. I'd sooner pay £10 a month for YouTube Premium than ever have to see that bullshit ever again. Which is a nice segue from being grumpy about some shit to listening to music that is written about being grumpy about a whole bunch of shit. So, Werewolves, Under the Ground, the new single of the forthcoming record, My Enemies Look and Sound Like Me. Well, before I state the obvious, which is that this is fucking excellent, you know what I was saying earlier about boring drumming, right? Dave Haley is playing the exact same beat as that other fucking fool, and the band's name escapes me now. But listen to the difference. You know, he's doing, all these short little fills. There's variation in the way that he's delivering the beat, that he's delivering the groove, and it's fucking excellent. Don't understand why producers can't wake up to that, or people in bands. Like, if you have a drummer that plays in that kind of monotone style, somebody needs to have a word, because it sounds terrible. It absolutely ruins music, in my opinion. This is great. Dave Haley is in top form. Matt Wilcock is never not in top form. Sam is one of the best vocalists in death metal, in my opinion. This is superb. So if anybody who knows somebody in Cattle Decapitation is listening to this, tell them that when they go on tour anywhere near Australia or New Zealand and these guys are not opening for them, I'm going to take back all the nice things that I said about Terrasite. This is a superb song, and like I said, I happen to have heard much of the new record, and I can confirm that it's fucking brilliant. And I'll definitely see if I can get somebody from the band on again, and do another do a proper chat about it. Okay, we move on. Arcona are unveiling the More single and video. It says here, More, the second single from Arcona's 10th studio album, Cobb, has premiered online in the form of an official video clip. The new music output is due on June the 16th, 2023 via Napalm Records. Let's give it a spin. That's pretty decent. I mean, is the song, does it take a little long to get going? I mean, I think one has to concede. Again, I'm listening to these in kind of 60-second chunks, so it's not exactly fair to say the song is dragging its heels, because it is a 10-minute, 18-second song. So it has every right to start off slow. But once it gets going, it's not bad. I'm going to jump to the 5-minute mark, and let's hear where we're at with the song at this point. But it says here, Arcona comment on the new single, this track, More, represents the fourth step of the immersion of all mankind into the abyss. The song is about epidemics, diseases, and multiple deaths that have been haunting mankind through centuries, but subsequently man himself artificially created the main plague of our time, which has become his next step on the road to hell. The indescribable, gloomy images in the video, which were created by the skilled hands of Cybermind Abyss using neural network technology, will help the listener immerse themselves most deeply in the dark atmosphere of the track by drawing their terrible pictures through the absorbing abyss of our time, thereby predicting the approach of the inevitable apocalypse. So on that cheery note, let's get back to it. Yeah, I like it. I don't know if it's top-notch worthy, but I like it. Vocals are cool. Riffing is cool. I think it's a decent song. All right, Fen have debuted a new single. It says here, East Anglian black metalers Fen released the epic and constantly shape-shifting track Truth is Futility as the second single taken from their next studio record, Monuments to Absence, which is slated for release on July 7th, 2023. Loved the first single, as I know did many of you. So let's hear what Truth is Futility sounds like. I let that one run a little longer than I normally would, but that's pretty good. I like the intro, which is probably rich coming from me, considering the fact that I sit here and moan about intros that take too long or songs that take too long to get started. But I like that intro. It had a cinematic quality to it that kind of reminded me a little bit of Ultha. Just probably in the sense of how they, you can hear there's somebody who understands film scores and things like that wrote that. Very well done. And then when the song actually kicks in, it's pretty good. I think the clean vocals sound cool. The actual riff is good. There's a nice sort of galloping intensity to what's going on there. So yeah, decent thumbs up from me. Let's give it another 60 seconds. I must confess, they started losing me a little bit with that major chord nonsense that we've just dipped into. Everything was very, very solid up until that point, but that part, I'm not feeling at all. Fortunately, it was short-lived. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I like it. As I said, one little bump in the road there. One little bump in the road to the top-notch accolade. But yeah, not bad. All right. What else have we got? Varathron have finished work on a new album. That's good news. I know that Necrosphere has got a new single out, which is very good. And gosh darn it, wouldn't you believe they're the next article? So it says here, Necrosphere, Forbidden Light of the Black Moon track unleashed. Texan black metal outlaws Necrosphere are now premiering the brand new single Forbidden Light of the Black Moon, along with a new music video. The song is taken from the band's second full-length album, Burning Shadows in the Southern Night, which will be released on June the 2nd, 2023 via Season of Mist. Let's give it a listen. I've said this on the news rant before, and I said it directly to Christian as well, but I really think that the new music that Necrosphere has put out, and I have actually heard the whole record already, so I know what it sounds like. So the new album to me really is the sound of this band finding their voice. The first record was good, but it very clearly betrayed its influences, and it was at its best when you could hear them doing something a little different, doing something a bit unique. And this whole record is kind of like that. I think it's still clear that Christian and the gang love them a bit of Dissection, and they love them a bit of Emperor and stuff like that. But I mean, who doesn't? But it's absolutely the sound of a band that's much more comfortable in their own skin, creatively speaking, and are doing something that's more authentic to them rather than paying tribute to bands that inspired them. And it's much better for it. I think the song is superb, and I'll tell you now, again, spoiler alert, the album is fucking excellent too. I'll give it another 60 seconds. I think that earns a top-notch accolade, and could not be bestowed upon a nicer guy. Christian is a superb dude, and Necrofire is a great band. And I think Necrofire and Tombs and Cloak should go on tour together. I've been doing an awful lot of that recently. I realize, which is to come up with tour packages for bands, and I can tell you right now, all of the ones I've just suggested would do exceedingly well. All right, let's listen to one more song, and let's head over to the Democrats' Guide to Rock Music. Thy Art is Murder, their 6th full-length, is coming in September. Australia's premier incendiary musical export, Thy Art is Murder, will release the brand new single, Join Me in Armageddon, off the 6th album, Godlike, out worldwide on September the 15th, 2023, via Human Warfare. The 10-piece musical effort was produced, mixed, and mastered by Will Putney at Graphic Nature Audio with assistance from Steve Seed. I think, if memory serves me correctly, we've already heard one single off of this, which surprisingly I liked because I didn't really rate Thy Art is Murder as, amongst my favorites ever previously. Let's hear whether Join Me in Armageddon can provide a similarly pleasant surprise. Love it, especially that part where the vocals kick in, like that mid-tempo part. When it speeds up a little bit, I can see its necessity. You kind of want to keep changing up the song. You couldn't just have the whole thing be a mid-tempo hoedown. But I think it's very cool. Great riff, cool production, good vocals. Music video looks reasonably interesting. I'm liking every single thing about this so far. That's fucking excellent. I love it. And again, Thy Art Is Murder, not a band I particularly cared for previously. So I guess in 2023 they're winning the we should call it the Watain Award for biggest surprise of the year. Because obviously Watain last year was a huge surprise to me. So anyway, okay, we move on to the Democrats' Guide to Rock Music, and exciting news. Interestingly enough, not picked up by Metal Storm. I Am, featuring Typo Negative and Crowbar members, first taste of debut single Dreams Always Die with the Sun. I have been dying to hear this. So I am very excited right now. It says here, I Am, the new band featuring former Typo Negative members Kenny Hickey, Johnny Kelly, along with Kirk Winstein, the great Kirk Winstein, and Todd Strange, will release its debut single, Dreams Always Die with the Sun, on June the 2nd via Corpse Paint Records. A music video for the track was recently filmed by Mike Holderbeast and will make its online debut on the same day. A preview is available below. I don't actually know who Corpse Paint Records are. I will seriously question whether or not there were any bands, or sorry, like did no bigger labels show any interest in this? What the fuck is wrong with people? I would imagine Century Media or Nuclear Blast should have been all over this shit. Anyway, where is this goddamn sneak preview that they're yapping on about? I would assume it's this embedded Instagram post. So let's head there, and then let's hear this. All right, I'm going to actually just reset this so we can take it from the top, and here we go. Very short clip there, but I like it. I think that sounds quite cool. Biggest thing for me, I've said this before. Biggest thing for me with this is if they don't use Kirk to do vocals on this, then they are fucking stupid. And these are all men that I like very, very much, musically speaking. But I mean, you can't have like Can you imagine the vocal interplay between Kirk and what's his face, Kenny? I mean, it would just be, that's just magic. It's magic waiting to happen. And then you've got Johnny Kelly, a magnificent drummer, and Todd Strange is just as solid a bassist as they come. So, first impressions are positive. Another one I've been excited to hear, which again also wasn't picked up by Metal Storm. Max and Igor Cavalera have shared the re-recorded version of Sepultura's Morbid Visions. Last month, Nuclear Blast announced the signing of Cavalera, the project featuring Sepultura's founding members Max Cavalera and Igor Cavalera. The first release under the deal will be a re-recording of Sepultura's first EP, Bestial Devastation, originally released in 1985, and debut full-length Morbid Visions. It's due on July 14th. I know for many, this has been, this is sacred ground these gentlemen are treading on, but bear in mind it was them that created it, so let's hear what it sounds like. I'm just looking for the link. Here we go. Right. Brace yourselves.
Sacrifice
You can tell they were young when they wrote those lyrics. Sacrificed fucking Messiah. I mean, Max has never exactly been a wordsmith, but I've also heard heard him be somewhat more eloquent than that. But anyway, let's hear what the original song sounds like, and compare the two. If I did a straw poll of Into the Necrosphere listeners, I would bet anything that at least 95% of you would say you prefer the older version. And I would be right there with you. Nothing bad about the new version. Like I said, I've been very curious to hear what it sounds like, but nothing that's exciting me. There's like it's not bringing anything new or interesting to the table. I'm not suggesting they re-record the song entirely or rework the song. But yeah, I would just say the production is a little bit dry. Max's voice, I do prefer the old sound. There was just a feeling, there's a soulfulness to that original recording that I feel is just lacking here. That's probably the best way to describe it. I think there's a soulfulness that is lacking. All right, we move on. Motley Crue. Lars Ulrich reveals inspiration for Metallica's concert Snake Pit. In a new interview with Apple Music's Zane Lowe, Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich spoke about how he and his bandmates came up with the idea of creating the Snake Pit. We were going to call it the Money Pit, says Lars, because we charge fans like a bunch of money to stand there. No, it says, he said, one of our managers back in New York in the late 80s, early 90s had the idea that when you go to a restaurant, the best seat in the restaurant, it was actually not in the house, it was in the kitchen. So in crazy cool restaurants, if you could somehow get into the kitchen and eat in the kitchen, you were in there where all the action was. So the idea came out that for the Snake Pit on the Black Album tour was basically to be in the middle of the stage. So we had a stage that was shaped like a diamond, and there were 30 or 40 spots in the middle of that stage. Radio contest winners, friends, family, and a few crazy metalheads from around the audience would end up in that Snake Pit, and they would be on stage with us, and then it morphed. Basically, for, I guess, 30 years now, the Snake Pit has been an integral part of at least a Metallica indoor show. And then in the stadiums, when you've been playing outside, it's been sort of this extension of the stage. You've seen it, but they've never been like crazy big. There's been room for a couple of hundred in there, a couple of hundred there, whatever. Ulrich added that in the current situation of the Snake Pit holds 900 to 1,200 people, depending on the rules of the local fire marshal, which, gives you a view of, I mean, we all know they're fucking massive, but, just that statistic gives you a view of what's big, because you sometimes hear bands that we all like talk about, shows they played, and it's like, it was a decent crowd, 800 people. It's like Metallica fill up that much in, like, their little special section of their of whatever venue they're playing in. Apparently, everyone formerly in big bands is selling their homes. It says here, Motley Crue's Tommy Lee sells Calabasas home for $3.65 million. And also, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne are selling their West Hollywood condo for $4.8 million. So if you have some money to burn and or you're looking to move into new digs, go check those out. John 5 claims Rob Zombie was fine about him joining Motley Crue. He wasn't psyched, but he understood. Queens of the Stone Age announces in Time's new Roman album. I don't know about you guys, but I think that should come as no surprise that I'm going to be rather excited about that. Wasps Blackie Lawless to play remaining shows on European tour while seated. It says here, Wasp frontman Blackie Lawless, who recently revealed that he's been performing on the band's ongoing European tour with a herniated disc in his lower back, has announced that he will play the remaining 5 shows on the track while seated in a chair that will be built into his custom mic stand, which he has nicknamed Elvis. In a message posted on Wednesday on Wasp's official site, Lawless wrote, "As many of you already know, I had a serious setback at the hands of a very unqualified doctor here in Europe about 2 weeks into the tour. I've been receiving treatment at a hospital in Berlin, and that team of doctors has been nothing short of fantastic, but at the same time, they strongly advised me to stop the tour and go back to LA to begin my rehab. But it's hard for them to understand. This is the only 40th anniversary I'm ever going to get, not to mention the fans that have stood by us the entire time have waited 3 years, and because of the pandemic, suffered 3 different sets of tour postponements." Kudos to him, man. A herniated disc is no joke. And for him to decide to continue the tour, I think it's a good thing. I'm sure people will have plenty to say, especially in view of the fact that obviously there's a questionable amount of authenticity in his voice on stage, but, sod it. If the people go and they have a good time, good for them. And good for Blackie. Right, Robert Rio names his favorite Metallica album. What's he going to say? Master of Puppets. I'm quite surprised he didn't go for Lulu. And we move on. Disturbed's David Raymond delivers inspirational speech about power of music. He recently also delivered an inspirational talk about the perils of featuring on Tinder. Apparently people found his Tinder profile. He does a couple of the stock standard things that men do to get the attention of women, including sitting next to his dog with his arms wrapped around him going, "I've got a soft, sweet side." When I was on Tinder, I took the piss and had like a picture of a dog photoshopped onto my profile picture, and I said, "It's not my dog, but if we've been together for 4, maybe even 5 years, I will ask my friend if we can take him for a walk," which, weirdly enough, got me a lot of attention. Ellefson says it's fucking pathetic that Mustaine is still bitching about his dismissal from Metallica 40 years later. I was thinking about this, and I think it's easy. I've hated on Mustaine many, many times on this podcast, and I think it's easy to just look at that and go, yeah, he's right. Mustaine should grow up. He's got millions and millions of dollars. But and I don't mean for this to sound like another life lesson. I know I've given a couple of those recently, but I think all of us who've experienced a setback in life or felt like we've been wronged by somebody, it's hard to uncouple from that resentment and from that hatred. I held grudges against people that bullied me at school for the better part of my adult life. I mean, I still sometimes think to myself, wonder what's going on with that person, where that person has landed up. Most likely they're a fucking security guard somewhere. But it did take it kind of took all the events, the storied events of 2015 and 2016 to make me realize that you have to unburden yourself of that shit, because if you spend your time holding that resentment and those grudges and that hatred in your heart, it's ultimately investment of your energy in something or someone that doesn't give a shit about you. And if you're investing more in them than they're investing in you, then frankly, that makes you the loser. So, it's extremely unlikely that Ellefson is ever going to stop moaning about this. But I guess what I'm saying is, I understand. I'm not saying it's right, but I understand where it comes from. It comes from the struggle of letting go of those resentments and that anger and that hatred. Okay, one more, and then we will wrap it up. Cryptopsy signs with Nuclear Blast, Prep's first full-length album in over a decade. I think that is sensational news because I fucking loved those last 2 EPs that they put out. So it says here, veteran death metalers Cryptopsy have officially signed with Nuclear Blast Records. One of Canada's most ferocious bands will release its first full-length album in over a decade later this year. Cryptopsy vocalist Matt McGeachy states, we are truly excited to have joined Nuclear Blast's roster. Many of the bands we love and a bunch of our friends have released killer albums via Nuclear Blast. Back in 2012, we became an independent band. Now in 2023, we have decided to team up with one of the most influential metal labels. We're eager to be showcased alongside the world's best metal acts and can't wait to unveil the next era of Cryptopsy as a Nuclear Blast artist. So congratulations to Cryptopsy. And if you've made it this far, congratulations to you, because this is the news rant. I was about to say the news wrap. The news rant done for this week. Okay, my friends, it's sad to say, but we're done for another week. Next week, I am back. I currently have the mighty Swartalv of Nocturnal Breed scheduled for a conversation, and you know that's going to go long. So that's booked for this coming Tuesday. I've got a couple of other folks in the pipeline, so good things coming your way, Legionnaires. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you check out Hierophant. Make sure that you check out Cattle Decapitation. Make sure you check out Sick, and a big thank you to Fabio for his time on the podcast too. Last week, Carl Hikara and I spoke about our shared love of Ordo ad Chaos by Mayhem. You will see I'm wearing an Ordo ad Chaos t-shirt if you're watching this on YouTube. Many of you came out and said how much you also love Ordo ad Chaos, so I figured, why not finish off this episode with a celebration of the greatest track off of that record, Illuminate, Eliminate. I play it to you as I extend to you my best wishes for the week ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next Tuesday. Ta-da.